What up, though, and welcome to Meet the Artist. I'm your host, Jessica Care Moore, and on today's show, we'll feature Clifton, Mr. Cliffnote Perry, and Stef Christ'ian. First up is airbrush artist Mr. Cliffnote, who's an extremely gifted artist creating lifelike images with his paints, tools, creativity, and prolific skills. Next up is singer-songwriter Stef Christ'ian, the Detroit rock and roll powerhouse vocalist who performs with extreme passion and enormous energy. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
If Usain Bolt represents Xfinity Internet, what happens when we double the speed on two of our most popular plans? Meet his twice as fast brother, Insane Bolt. Now stream movies and shows twice as fast. Xfinity, the fastest just got faster.
Mr. Cliffnote asked his dad to purchase him a pair of airbrush overalls, like the ones he saw worn by one of his favorite music groups. His dad, after discovering the cost of the overalls, decided the better move would be to purchase the airbrush tools for his son. And that was just the beginning. Thank you for joining us on Meet the Artist. I'm really happy to have you on the show. Been wanting to bring you on. So you go by a lot of different names. I know you as Cliff, Clifton Perry, and then Mr. Cliffnote.
Yes.
So,
and, you know, some people know me as Jamal.
As Jamal, that's your family.
Yeah.
So I want to start with your beginnings. We were sitting in the middle of Aired Out Customs.
Aired Out Customs.
Your beautiful space. Really
Thank
proud of you for having the storefront here on East Jefferson. But we're going to go back a little bit and talk about some of your beginnings. So tell me about airbrushing, why you were attracted to the art form at first.
Well, I first saw airbrushing in the Belle Biv DeVoe video, Do Me. And Michael Bivins had on the overall jumpsuit. I wanted that. So my dad took me to Kingpin Airbrushing in the neighborhood airbrush shop, and he asked him how much it would cost to get done. And when they told him how much it would be, he was just like, I'm gonna just buy you an airbrush and make your own. So
Are you serious?
Yep. So from that point on, I've been airbrushing.
And you were 11 years old?
I was 11, so that's 25 years now.
So how did you teach yourself how to airbrush?
It's a lot of messing stuff up and, you know, walls in the basement of my parents' house looking crazy, but eventually stuff started looking right.
But you can really, I know that you're a very talented illustrator. So were you already drawing everything already?
Yeah, I've been drawing as long as I can remember. My mom said that I started drawing at 10 months old. I don't know how accurate that is, but she said as soon as I was holding a pencil, I was drawing. I would have pictures of Sesame Street characters and stuff like that. And, you know, they wouldn't believe I did it until she asked me to do it again, and then it come out looking just like Bert and Ernie or whatever it was. So my dad taught me a lot as far as drawing, sitting and reading the funny papers and drawing the characters out of there, Garfield and Charlie Brown.
Did your dad draw too? Really?
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
He kind of stopped once I started getting good. But, yeah, he definitely laid a foundation that kept me, you know, building upon it.
You won some contests when you were very young in school. What was that? Tell me about that.
It was a lot of contests. One of the main ones was one called Denounce the 40 ounce. And that was a city council campaign, you know, denouncing the 40 ounce.
Right.
And it was a picture of a baby pouring out a 40 ounce of liquor or bottle or whatever on top of a don't sign. And it was all over buses and billboards and t-shirts.
How old were you when that happened?
I was like 16, I think.
Wow.
Maybe 17.
So tell me about high school. Where'd you go?
I went to Cass.
You went to Cass Tech. So at Cass, were you airbrushing at Cass?
Yep.
Were you airbrushing like T-shirts and things like that? Had you already started doing that? Yep. Tell me about the culture of airbrushing and how it's different from maybe a painter that's painting with acrylic or someone who's, just different kind of medium.
Well, airbrushing, as far as the way I came up knowing about it, it was a much more urban art thing. I mean, not saying that it's limited to the urban areas, because there's several, people on different levels doing it.
Okay.
But as far as in Detroit, it's more of an urban art.
Okay.
You find somebody in the mall doing it, or flea markets, stuff like that. That's where I would see it at, and I started doing it from that point. What separates it from artists doing acrylic and oils and things of that nature is as far as the respect that people get out of it. So that's one thing I learned, was that with airbrushing, if they see that it's airbrushed or whatever, it's not really considered fine art.
Is that similar to the issue with graffiti art? Is airbrushing and graffiti? What's the difference? Is that kissing cousins? Are they very similar?
The outcome can be similar. I know with an airbrush, you can actually get a lot more detail than you can a lot of the time with the spray can. But
do you spray?
Not really. I've tried, but I'm decent at it, but I got frustrated when I wasn't as good as I am with the airbrush, and just said I'll stay in my lane.
Okay, but I know you've done a lot of corporate and commercial work too.
Yeah.
Now tell me about some of that. Tell me about the mural you did at University of Michigan.
At U of M, they had me do an activist mural with, just to kind of depict the activism. You had people picketing, another group of people doing a sit-in, and another group of people doing a candlelight vigil.
That's beautiful.
And it was split in 3, and
it's a big piece.
It's pretty big.
You're watching Meet the Artist. Coming up next, more with Mr. Cliffnote.
Hey, can you help me move?
Oh, you know what? I'm stuck at the office.
Hi, I'm moving.
No problem, sir. You can get your Xfinity services installed on the date you choose, or have a self-install kit sent to your new home.
Thank you.
Finally get some help moving. Call 1-855-MOVE-EDGE today.
So you didn't go to school, you're self-taught, but you did go to CCS for some time, and I was really interested in that story you told me a long time ago about you going to CCS and them not offering airbrush classes to you as a airbrush artist. So just tell me about that journey.
Yeah, I actually, when I was 14, a friend of mine named Felly had taught me a lot with airbrushing, and that's when I actually had really gotten good. So when I went to college, I was actually paying for my school supplies and a lot of the stuff that I was getting through airbrushing. So I never understood why they didn't teach airbrushing or why they didn't offer it. And when I asked them, they basically said it's a lost art and there's really no money in it.
Wow.
And I,
you were making money doing it.
Yeah, I was paying my way through everything with the airbrush. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that hasn't changed. That's still right now. CCS,
yeah, as far as I know, they still don't teach airbrushing there.
Yeah, maybe you should do it.
Yeah, I'm down, definitely.
So tell me about Northland. Northland Mall has been in part of Detroit. Unfortunately, it has closed recently, but we both grew up going to that mall when we were little. So you were in Northland Mall for a very long time. So tell me about the transition from going from Northland Mall inside of a mall space into taking the leap into owning your own storefront in Detroit.
Right. Northland, I loved it for the foot traffic that I had, but it's definitely a lot more convenient for me to be here and have my own space. I can be here 24 hours.
Right.
I can work all hours. If I need to shut down and leave, I don't get fined.
Okay, I know, right?
Yeah, so.
Okay, so the Motown mural was one of the most popular murals, I'm sure, in Northland Mall. And when they decided the doors were going to close, I know you were very concerned about what was going to happen to your mural, and other people were too. So tell me about what happened after you got that information and what the end result has been.
I had spent like 5 months or so on that mural. So like when I heard that the mall was going to close, that was the first thing I started thinking about, like what's going to happen with this mural. Yeah. So I talked with the owner of the mall management or whoever I needed to know, like if I'm able to get it out of here, can I have it? They like, yeah, you could do that. So I just had to come up with the money to get it removed and transported. And I had to find somebody interested in taking it.
Wow.
So I went on my social media blast, letting everybody know. I started a GoFundMe campaign to raise funds to at least get it cut down and taken out of there. So I wound up reaching my goal. So I was able to get it out, and the mayor of Southfield was interested in having it. So he got it, and he said he's going to be putting it in Beechwood Park. In Southfield.
Good.
So, yeah.
That's wonderful.
Exactly.
So how do you remove a mural from the building?
Well, what they did, it was actually on a thin sheet of drywall.
It was.
So they were able to actually just take a box cutter and cut it in sections with clean enough cuts to where it didn't do any damage to it.
You're also a dad. So how does that play a role in what you're doing? 'Cause I saw, I know you have this really incredible comic book strip that you're working on with dogs, and one of my favorite is the one of your daughter, Harmony. So, I mean, how is Harmony, how does that play a role in the art that you make and being a parent?
Yeah, she's definitely played a big role in my music and my visual art. I mean, one is that it's not just for me anymore. So I have to do everything for her.
That's right.
And also in considering that she's going to hear this at some point, or she's going to see this piece and start questioning, why is this guy smoking or whatever, you know?
Of course,
So I have to take into consideration a lot more than I did before having a child.
Okay, you brought up music, and we haven't talked about it, but people do know you as Mr. Cliffnote. I know that you're an MC, so tell me about being an MC and building up your repertoire, not just as a visual artist, but also a rapper in the city.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I don't want to say was a hobby, because I really had been pursuing it like a job.
Because you did a comic book and a CD.
Yeah, I did a CD that came with a comic book. The comic book was completely illustrated, inked, colored, written by me.
Right.
So as far as I know, I'm the first rapper to put out a comic book with a CD that I actually did.
Right. Are you working on music currently?
Yes. It's an album pretty much done, Path to Notification Volume 2.
So my last question to you is, what do you tell an aspiring artist, especially when you're talking about somebody who wants to do airbrush in particular, because are there options for them for college? You know, what's the steps they need to take? Do they need to come and learn from you, become an apprentice?
My door is definitely open to anybody who wants to learn how to airbrush, and it would actually make life a lot easier for me, because I would actually have somebody that can take on some of the work when I can't do it all.
Okay.
But my advice is just to stick with it. A lot of people try to pick up something, and you know, if they're not automatically good at it immediately, like I did with the spray cans, they just don't stick with it. But if you really want to get to a certain point in a skill level, you have to put thousands of hours in before you start seeing the progress that you want to see.
If Usain Bolt represents Xfinity Internet, what happens when we double the speed on two of our most popular plans? Meet his twice-as-fast brother, Usain Bolt. Now stream movies and shows twice as fast. Xfinity, the fastest just got faster.
Stef Christ'ian possesses beautiful physical features and an equally beautiful voice, both of which are on display and evenly matched with her high-energy live performances, where she delivers all of herself through song to her audience.
So I left home and it's a cold and a trailer in the sand. The man from the picture sturdy yellow in hand, sturdy yellow in hand.
I'm so excited to have you on Meet the Artist.
I am as well. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna pretend like I don't know you.
Okay.
And you're not my sister.
Okay.
For a couple of minutes, so that everybody who doesn't know who you are can actually get to know you.
Thank you.
So Stephanie Christ'ian, you go by Stef Chris. Tell me who Stephanie Christ'ian is.
Stephanie Christ'ian is a singer, songwriter, performer, mommy, wife, try to be a student of life, and Stephanie Christ'ian is living.
You're absolutely a star.
Oh, thank you.
Without question, and one of my favorite singers.
Thank you.
So I want our audience to know more about how you got your start. Like, when did you realize you had a very special voice?
I grew up listening to all different types of music. My mother was really young when she had me, and she was kind of a punk rocker. So I remember listening to a bunch of rock and roll, Aerosmith, and Led Zeppelin with my mother. And my grandmother really liked Mahalia Jackson, and my grandfather liked the blues. But I also grew up with the beginning of MTV.
Right.
So I was exposed to White Snake and all the white rock bands that they were playing. And the first song that I sang, my mother says that I was 2, and it was Video Killed the Radio Star. And I didn't really know that I could sing. My mother always sang with me, we sang together, but I didn't really know that I could sing. And I used to sing with my grandfather a lot. He taught me how to play the guitar. And I was a little girl, and I guess my mom started to realize that I had some talent, and she put me in a choir at Mayflower Church. And I did that for a bit, and things just started to kind of go from there. Like, it got around in my family, and I was singing at every family meeting and fish fry. I had to sing. We come this far by faith pretty much anytime my family got together. And it started from there.
You have a really big family.
I have a humongous family.
You do, yes. So now you're in the church, you're singing what everyone expects you to sing, but you got a hold of some Zeppelin and some other kind of music.
Yeah.
So tell me how that evolved from this girl singing, just at her family functions, to, wait a minute, this may be something you could do for a living.
Probably around the time when I was a teenager, and I really started to get into vocalists that I liked, like Tori Amos and Bjork. And I really liked Billie Holiday as well, and Janis Joplin and Tina Turner. And I don't know if I ever really saw it as like a profession. I just know that I like to do it. And then in high school, I was about 15, and I met a music manager from New York, and he was a friend of my teacher. And I went and I stayed out in New York with him. My godmother came with me to be my chaperone. And
this is in high school?
I was 15. And I met with Stephen Finfer of Famous Music Publishing, and I started working with him. He introduced me to a producer who I worked with till I was about 21. I had actually moved out to New York when I was 18. And I signed to Famous when I was 18 as a songwriter. And I mean, it had kind of gotten a little believable and real before that, but probably when I took that trip to New York and I started meeting people, like people who were in the business, that it got a little real.
So get our audience a little bit closer to right now, because you're a rock and roll singer.
Yes.
And you don't have to be a rock and roll singer, and I really want you to talk about that, because you could have chosen to do a lot of things. You could have put a couple dancers behind you, made a little R&B group. I mean, what made you decide to take the path of rock and roll? And you're like unrelentless. You see you on stage. There is something absolutely so powerful about your stage presence that takes over everybody's body. And I think about singers like Brittany Howard. I think about the Alabama Shakes, and I think about even when Adele has songs come out. Those are the level of voices that I think about when I think about your voice.
Thank you. Very much.
But your stage presence is a whole nother other thing that takes on a life of its own. So tell me about rock and roll and Stephanie. Like, what is that relationship to your music?
Singing rock and roll was never a gimmick. It, honestly, deeply, truthfully, was the type of music that attracted me. And I've always, listening to music when I was a kid, still I'm getting older and MTV is growing. I mean, they're playing different artists, not a lot of black ones, but that's a side conversation.
No, we can have that one. Yeah.
You know, like the Cranberries. I just was really, really, really into alternative music. And even though my friends didn't necessarily listen to it, those women could still sing.
Right.
And I started to mimic them, and I watched them. Tina Turner even. Like, I would watch, I watched them.
You remind me so much of Tina Turner. Like, really, that is your mama.
She is my mother. She is my spiritual mother.
Yeah.
And I started to, like, just trying to study them and learn them. And there's just something very palpable about rock and roll music to me. And I can't necessarily explain it. It probably has a lot to do with just how I grew up and where I grew up and who I grew up with. But that's what's coming out of me, is that I honestly feel some kind of connection. Like, music to me is not separate from, like, me as an artist or like me as a person. Like, I embody, like, that spirit of music, like, all the time. And performing for me is just a way of expressing that.
You're watching Meet the Artist. Coming up next, more with Stef Christ'ian.
And with Uverse, you can move your TV anywhere in the house.
We're happy with Xfinity. Why would we move the TV?
I don't know, but let me show you. Now, if you had the Uverse wireless receiver, you could take this anywhere. See? Anywhere you want.
Don't get duped by Uverse. Get the most entertainment on any device anywhere with Xfinity from Comcast.
From the dead, my eyes open wide. I'm letting go of my fear and my pride. Who inside in my life I struggle to find a way to remember, but leave it behind. Breaking the circle, return to the light. Now I'm a stand up, this is my fight. Battle for so long, and now I proclaim this time I ain't playing, 'cause life is a game. It's been a long time coming. I've been feeling so afraid. I spent these last years running. Now it's time that I make a change.
But what is it for you? Like, how do you define it? Success? Like, what is it to you?
To me, when I was a 15-year-old girl or 18-year-old girl or 24-year-old girl, it's changed and it's varied. But probably from 15 to 26, before I had my child, before I met my husband, in my head I wanted to be Rihanna or Beyonce. Like, I wanted to be a pop star. Like, I wanted to be big, not necessarily like them. I just wanted to be a huge star. And then when I got a little older and my situation changed, and I've really gone back and forth about how can I do this and still be the mom that I want to be, and still be the wife that I want to be, and still, take care of my family. I mean, I still work a 40-hour-a-week job, sometimes more than that, and it's been trying. Sometimes, like, is this worth it? And, like, I'm not where I want to be, and then I had to start thinking about defining success again. Like, what does success mean to me? And I tell my husband sometimes, like, somebody will ask me, I say, you know what, at this point, and not as a cop-out, success for me is being able to work as a musician full-time and not have to be working for scraps or be begging for scraps, to be able to provide for my family and do what I love.
And balancing motherhood and being a wife.
Yeah.
I know that's not easy work.
No.
It's not easy work,
Right.
But I think that energy comes through when you sing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a release. It's a release. I mean, like I told my friend Cool Beans, we were just talking, I was like, dude, it's March. I'm pretty sure I think I've had 3 hours of sleep since like January. Like I don't sleep. Every day is something else. Like I hardly see my husband and my son.
Yeah.
Like when I get home, my son is asleep. I mean, every day when I get off work, there's something for me to be doing. Today is what, a Wednesday? I have not seen my son since he went to school this morning.
But you look flawless.
Oh, thank you. I'm trying. And you as well.
Well, 3 hours of sleep, that's all we need. No, but that's real. Yeah.
It's rough. And when my son tells me, Mom, love up on me. I haven't seen you today. I want to love up on you. That means a lot to me. But I hope that he understands, and I know that he does, that I do this for him. I'm doing this for him.
Yeah.
And sometimes I have to ask him, are you being selfish? And I'm not. I know that I'm not.
I'll remind you that you're not.
I know, I'm not being selfish, and I know that he understands that now. And it means a lot to me, and it's very important to me that he knows that.
But I want to, tell me about the process, like and some of the producers you worked with. And I know you're working on a project. We're sitting up in the studio.
Yes.
So tell me about that.
Well, Kweli and I are getting ready to release a mixtape of material that I did with one of my old bands, Flexphonic. And it has new material, a single coming out called Down.
Down, yeah.
As well as material from my EP, Way Too Much. And Ren and I are trying to finish up our project, like I said, which has been done probably for quite some time. And in May of, March 2014, I released my first EP, Way Too Much.
Yeah.
And I worked with Ren on that as well as Nader Omawale, Distorted Soul. And I got really good feedback on that. And Ren and I have been working on a project probably since 2010, probably. And we have been recording songs slowly but surely. And it just got to the point where we're like, yo, we got a lot of material. Like, let's just finish this. We looked up, we had like 7 or 8 songs. Like, let's just, finish this up and release a record. But we also wanted to make sure that we did it right and it wasn't rushed. And we've probably been done, but we just keep, we want to just make sure that it's right. We're not trying to rush to get it out. And it's really darn good, if I can say so myself. It doesn't sound like anything that you'll probably hear, but it's not so off the cuff that it's so out there that you don't get it. It's very relatable to, I think, women and men. One of my brother heard one of the songs called Overdraft, and he was like, yo, I get this. I get it. Even if it's from a woman's perspective or a man understanding what a woman is trying to tell him.
Right.
I think it's very relatable.
Way Too Much is one of my favorite songs. I think me and Stacey Howard makes you sing it in the shower on the road. And then I'm not plugging Black Woman Rock, but you are the star of Black Woman Rock. I can't imagine, how do I book Black Woman Rock and Stephanie is not a part of the bill? Because to me, you encompass everything that it's about.
Yeah.
Because you're doing what you love, you're doing it independently, you're doing it with force, and we love you. And so and we just, it's breathtaking to watch you get down.
Thank you.
Tell me, what would you tell another young lady, who's aspiring to be in your shoes, to be in your chucks and your in your place, all of that beautifulness. How do you keep going, and how do you tell someone if someone tells you you got to sing this way in order to be famous? How do you fight against that kind of thing?
As you would say, I am famous. Don't stop doing it. If you love it, just don't stop. It doesn't matter the obstacle. If it's what you love, even if, and can't even think necessarily about what am I going to get in return for it. It's about what you're getting for yourself and not what somebody else gives you. So I'm going to keep doing it because it's what I love and it makes me happy. And I can't see myself doing anything else.
How do we find your happy, beautiful self? How do we find your music? How do we get to your website? What do we need to do to find Stefanie Christ'ian?
Well, you can find me online. My website is www.steffchris.com. Proof gave me that nickname, Stef Chris. He said my name was too long, so he had to shorten it to Stef Chris.
Okay.
My Twitter is Stef Chris. Instagram is XO, Stef Chris XO. What else? Facebook, Stef Chris. And you can find me on blinguniversity.com as well.
Okay. Thank you, Stephanie.
Oh, thank you.
Big, lots of love and luck to you. And I just enjoy watching you get down.
Thank you
for sharing some time with us.
Thank you. Thank you for helping me grow.
Thank you for watching Meet the Artist, the show that features Michigan-made art by Michigan-made artists. I'm your host, Jessica Kara Moore, and we'll see you next time.